Hi, welcome back to the channel. So I'm still not any further with the book that I'm supposed to do next. Reason being, the situation hasn't changed that much. I had a panic attack on Monday morning, and I'm still working my way through the aftermath. And what inspired me sort of to make this second video is a good friend of mine asking me, when I told him about the panic attack, he said something along the lines of, well, but you're not feeling sorry for yourself, are you? Or you're not wallowing in self-pity, are you? And I said unequivocally, no, not at all. And that's actually the truth. Instead, I do what I've always done, or what I learned to do, and that is take advantage of the situation and flip it around and actually use the energy to create art. And in this case, I write a lot, so I gave into another set of poems that wanted to come out, and I hoped that by being really transparent about both the condition of autism, but then also both the possibilities that, or the opportunities that states of mind like these open up. I hope to both clarify from a sort of inside perspective what it feels like to be on the spectrum, but then also I hope to maybe help someone with being that transparent and sharing my thoughts. So, because what helps me a great deal is to watch people on YouTube, watch other YouTubers who go through similar things and see how they cope, and maybe I can take a little piece of skill here and there and sort of turn it into my own. So that's the motivation, really, to do this, I guess, series of poem videos. For those of you not interested, I can totally relate, and I promise you I do everything in my power to come to sort of get back up to speed and continue with the book reviews. But at the moment, I'm afraid I need to surrender to art making. So actually what I realize is that I think I will collect all these poems and turn them into a book, and the book will have 3 parts, rather colloquially entitled. It's going to be the good, the bad, and the ugly for chapters, or for parts. And the reason being is, I think I'm a student of Carl Gustav Jung's psychology, a long-time student of his, and I think it's really important to not only embrace the positive, you know, but to also acknowledge the negative and to acknowledge the painful aspects of existence, and to alchemize them into something, or to transform them into something life enhancing, you know. So as I did last time, I will read a couple of poems to you, and I will also try to comment on them and put them in perspective. And you will find transcripts of the poems in the description box below. So today I have a mixed bag for you. It's a little bit out of all of these three categories that I spoke of: the good, the bad, and the ugly. And I hope this will serve the purpose. So we will start with the first poem. This is the description of an experience I had in my late teens, and it is supposed to communicate the beauty that you're able to perceive when I take off my glasses. That's really rude, sorry. The beauty you're able to perceive when you're really perceptive, which I think autistic people are. They're really perceptive. So the first poem is called Imprints. Sleeping bag in the desert, 2 a.m. Stars hanging reachingly from celestial chandeliers. Beauty multiplied, slipping back into darkness. A Scorpio sparing its poison, passing you by unnoticed. Possibilities, odds, chances, missed and taken, you never know. I think this also speaks to the beauty of the moment, and not trying to grab a hold of it, or try to become attached to experiences in general. So it's about having an experience excuse me, and just let it kind of flow through you, appreciate it, but then also let it go again, you know, immediately. So the second poem speaks to, I guess, once again, because I think we had that theme before, the intensity of feelings, of emotion in autistic people. And the effect that someone can have on you, but you can have on them as well. So This one is called Law of Karma. I am that. A tank of CIF3. Little side note, CIF3 is a highly flammable gas. It's the chemical formula for a highly flammable gas. You are that. A man with a matchbox playing with fire. Light it, and life as you knew it is over. The flames wipe out eons of abuse. Balance restored. The next one is the description of a very classical situation of a social gathering, and that can be social gathering of any kind, you know, be it a party or something at work, you know, wherever people come together to just mix and small talk, I guess. And it speaks to the impossibility of autistic people, in my opinion, to be able to participate in that sort of exchange. It's called Appetizers. Flaunting their achievements in a shouting match. Words drown out meaning. Playing it up like wannabe cowboys that shoot their cap guns. Ambition blown out of proportion. I observe, unable to speak, a 12 gauge of disillusionment strapped to my back. None of you would know. I'm the first to leave. Memento mori for their ego. So it speaks to the impossibility of taking people's superficialities, you know, and ambitions really seriously, because they are ego-based. So, and really the experience of cringing when having to listen to an exchange like that, you know. It's, I mean, there can be wonderful conversations. I feel that they are more likely to happen in a one-on-one situation, and when people have both the time and, you know, the space to dive deep. And I very much prefer such exchanges to superficial small talk type situations. The next one, I was reflecting on what the purpose of autistic people could be in terms of them being a collective, you know, and what purpose they could serve in society. Sort of asking myself why there is such a thing as autism in the first place, and what possible purpose it could serve. You know, what's the good that sort of can come out of this type of condition. The poem is called Social Contract. From within our imprisonment, we teach you about freedom. Your rules are meaningless, they simply don't apply. Indifference births fearlessness. We dance to the tune of the universe. Our being is your hall of mirrors. So, if you have, and that's a hypothesis at this point, as I keep saying, there is no such thing as there are symptoms that are being shared by a lot of autistic people, and there are qualities that are also being shared by a lot of autistic people. But each experience is different because the distribution of symptoms and capabilities is different in each person. But I think there is a theme and the theme is that autistic people, and I must probably clarify or qualify, rather. I must qualify which subgroup I mean, and I mean highly functioning, high functioning autistic people, so people that are able to basically take part in some type of, you know, some type of normal life, I guess, with, you know, including other people that they are with and stuff like that. So I think when you take that subgroup of high functioning autistic people, they probably serve the purpose of being mirrors to neurotypical people, you know, because this subgroup is fully excuse me, sorry. This subgroup is fully committed to whatever they're doing in terms of work or, you know, purpose that they have in their sort of day-to-day life, and having all these qualities that you know are commonly known, such as being really honest, you know, and having sort of like an inability to lie, and being really straightforward and not beating about the bush, you know, being really direct and all that kind of stuff. So I think when you take all of these qualities together, it's almost like that subgroup of autistic people is, as I say in the poem, is like a hall of mirrors, you know, that when neurotypical people with a very pronounced sense of self or ego walk into this hall of mirrors, they sort of see that, you know, they see the futility of the ego or the self mirrored back to them, because as they watch autistic people go about their lives, they realize they seem to be entirely just, or most of the time, to be in flow and in tune with the greater scheme of things, and not at all preoccupied with things like social status and all these things. So I think that could be one of the purposes that we serve in the collective. The next poem is a description of panic attacks, and I'm grateful having had one so recently, because that gave me the opportunity to reflect on what's happening in a panic attack and try to verbalize what's happening. And the poem is called Feast of Anxiety. Beasts without names, did I call you? A wave of norepinephrine opens the floodgates. This tide of dread drowns logic in its wake. Cacophony of despair, muted torment. Clap your hands, make it go away, please. Those magical 3 seconds, I missed them again. Uninvited guests feasting at the table of my serenity. I watch them eat and destroy everything I've built. They fart on their way out. I will clean up the mess and start over. So it speaks to the just chemical realities, you know, some sort of chemical being released in your brains and what that has in terms of physical effects. But then it also speaks of this absolute lack of control. You can neither control your mood at that point, you know, your general mood or your thoughts, or you can't control your emotions, you can't control your body, you're just absolutely at the you are absolutely sort of delivered to whatever it is that. And I'm trying to personify it, you know, the panic attack, by calling it beasts and uninvited guests. And the only thing you can do is really just let it happen. There is obviously, apparently there is, excuse me, there is this really small time frame of about 3 seconds that you have before the onset of a panic attack. And when you are suffering from anxiety, part of your therapy is to develop a skill set that will help you to either dampen the effect of panic attacks or avoid them altogether. So you end up with this huge toolkit of skills, that are really personal to you, whatever helps you, in a certain situation. And one of those skills, for instance, is when you already are hyperventilating and when you already are sort of like on the brink of just going full force into a panic attack. They teach you to clap your hands in front of your body, because it somehow, by both moving your hands and hearing the sound, you might be able to avoid it. But in most cases, in my personal experience, it's all of these skills are being thrown out of the window within these 3 seconds. It's almost like until you realize, shit, I'm having a panic attack, you're already in it. There is no way of going back. There's no way of like looking up, okay, what's that skill? What am I supposed to do now? It's just, you can't think logically anymore. You can't compute. It's like your brain is frozen. So the next one is actually kind of funny. It's a phenomenon that I can't do anything about, really. It just sort of happens, and it tends to happen quite a lot. And that is the phenomenon of seeing double digits or mirror numbers when you look at any type of digital device, so. And I find it really curious, and I'm wondering if that's something that autistic people are more prone to, just because of their detail focus. I mean, if you think about it, if a neurotypical person stands in a room, for instance, a kitchen, they tend to have peripheral vision, so they tend to take it all in at once. It's like just the kitchen. The autistic person, on the other hand, standing in the same room, will immediately notice a detail. They will hear the dripping of a faucet, for instance, amplified 1,000,000 times, or they will see, I don't know, a fruit fly in the fruit basket or something. So maybe that's why we're more prone to noticing these things. So the poem is called Interdimensional Messages. Stove timer, alarm clock. Linus, you want to go out? It's kind of annoying when you're... Yeah, you sit down. Okay, let me start over. Stove timer, alarm clock, elevator display, car dashboard, computer desktop, mobile screensaver, double digits, 10, 10, 21, 21, mirror numbers, 23, 32, 13, 31. Pretend you don't see them, or start listening. Either way drives you nuts. So when this happens to you all the time, I mean, there's 2 ways to react to it. You either just sort of, try to ignore it, but it's kind of hard when it happens to you about 10 times a day. Or you try to give it some kind of meaning. And see, that is where I personally have a problem with the psychological description of what's called magical thinking. In the minds of neurotypical people who write DSM manuals and all of that stuff, magical thinking is something negative, and it's sort of like the contrary of rational thinking. So It's to apply meaning to seemingly unmeaningful things. So, but what are you supposed to do when 10 or 20 times a day, each time you look at a clock? Actually, I swear to God, I just saw the clock on my cell phone and it said 31:13. And you keep seeing these double digits and these mirror numbers. I mean, what are you supposed to do if that happens to you all the time? You know? Is it that far-fetched that you would try to give that some meaning? So, the last one is called Kingdom. And this is actually really dear to me, this poem, because it's something so essential for, in my opinion, so essential for autistic people to have their own actual physical space. So if we talk about a child or an adolescent, it's so important to have a room to themselves. They need to be able to close the door behind them. If necessary, they need to be able to turn the key and just shut the world out for whatever length of time they require to get back into balance. And anything threatening that sort of setup, you know, be it open door policy in a family, for instance, you know, parents telling their child, don't close the door, we don't want you to close your door, your doors need to stay open, like don't even think about locking your door, we're going to take the key away from you, and all that kind of stuff. That is such a stressor for the autistic person. So in this next poem, I try to describe the importance of having your own space and what that space means to you. And yeah, so the poem is called Kingdom. Intelligence is my drawbridge. Angst is my jail. My mind is the executioner. My conscience is the judge. Nature is my chapel. The sun is my priest. Faith is my treasurer. The sky is my steward. Hesitancy is my archer. Music is my dungeon. Art is my armor. My greenhouse is my tower. Despair is my moat. Meditation is my castle. My plants are my squires. My books are my nobles. My tarot cards are my advisors. You are my king. I am your queen. So obviously I'm picking up medieval description of a kingdom, so all the aspects of a kingdom, and I thought about what each part of a kingdom is to me, you know. So that's it. I hope this was helpful for someone, really. I think what I tried to do is to prove to you that you can take hardship, you know, and turn it around. You can try to see, you can try to find meaning in every experience you have. That's what I'm trying to do with these videos. See you soon. Bye.